So at this time, I will call this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees to order. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. The first order of business here tonight is to actually have the Employee Recognition Award, and that goes to Michael Dunkirk of our Central Garage. He's an Auto Mechanic 3. Mike is a dedicated employee and always steps up when needed. While I was away, he did a great job running Central Garage during the January 25th snowstorm and the days that followed. During the snowstorm that hit us February 6th and 7th, the highway crew needed help, and Mike volunteered to drive one of the snowplow trucks himself. Saturday into the night, and again Sunday morning when we returned to work. Thank you for your consideration of Mark Maddock for this monthly award. And so, again, I just want to give a shout out to Michael Dunkirk for his work that he did for the village. Thank you. So we have a couple of public hearings tonight. The first one is a local law amending Chapter 65-3, designation of landmarks and historic districts, to transfer the authority to designate historic districts from the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation to the Village Board of Trustees. So do I have I make a motion to open this public hearing? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First, would any board members like to speak, or should we ask the public to come and speak? All right, so those that wish to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and again, the rules that we have here is that it's limited to 3 minutes, so as we have a lot of people here, and then we'll do it that way.
Let me just explain that it is a hard 3 minutes. I'm going to notify you at 2:45. Plus, I'm going to ask people to please be succinct and focus specifically on the referendum, not the merit or the other aspects of the issue, but on the printed word only.
My name's Jamie Lusberg. I live at 88 Halsey in Southampton. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I'm not sure if I'm in the merit, all that language, but I'll try. I read the draft report. I think it's interesting. I think the ARB has done a great job of keeping our neighborhood looking the character and the quality. I think the report says for itself that in nearly 40 years, the similarity in architectural character and the expansion areas are indistinct and comparable with the existing district. I think it's an overreach, frankly, and I would prefer that the board talks about this, not considers this, because it also affects my investments and my future. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. Ellen Herman, 94 Halsey Street. Thank you to everyone. Very quickly, so I read the report, I read the referendum. I'm speaking for myself, and I think the 60 or so people who signed that letter opposed to the historic district expansion. So we would love, speaking for those 60, we would love for the vote to be with the Village Board of Trustees, and with all due respect, not with the ARB. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Megan Noonan, resident of Southampton. I own 2 properties on Henry Street in the proposed historic district. And it is my opinion that the village board should be the ones responsible for adopting the report and creating the expanded districts. We're not just considering 1 or 2 properties. This is a huge action, and one that elected officials should have to stand behind and negotiate with their constituents in good faith. Excuse me, sorry, I'm just getting over a little cold. Village residents in the historic district whose homes are deemed contributing, like myself, will face paying higher insurance premiums of perhaps, I'm told, up to 20%. Our homes will need to be reassessed, and this may result in significantly higher tax payments government programs may offset some of these additional costs, but the residents will have to wade into the waters of applying for grants and subsidies. It is a burden, and I actually don't really understand why the village willingly undertook an action that has the potential to hurt its constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I just,
Can I just say one thing? The sound is fixed, so thank you very much, Sage.
can I just say something? Unless Eileen or someone tells me differently, I don't think a historic designation will trigger a reassessment of a property. I thought I heard that, so that on its own I don't believe is a triggering event for a reassessment.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, sir.
Hi, everybody. Peter McWilliams, 9 Henry Street. Thank you for all your hard work, board members, and hello, everybody. Very brief history. For the past 40-plus years, I've been working on working for builders in the village, and from basically Quogue to Montauk on some of the finer homes. I'm with Wright & Company now for the past 10-plus years, and before that for 30 years between Andreasen and Bulgert and Associates and Billy Coral. So I have a fairly good working knowledge of architecture and design, and I'm very concerned with what's going on here. My eyes are going to be on this quite closely. My wife Megan and I bought 9 Henry Street about 13 years ago, and we're concerned with what's going on here. It is my opinion that due to an action of this gravity and depth, that any decision should be placed with the village board and not the ARB. No disrespect to them, but I think that you guys are, your level of accountability is much greater than theirs, and I respect your accountability a lot better. So I would ask that you guys please take care of this matter, to look into the possibility of creating these zones, which I happen to disagree with, but that will come at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. My name is Mark McIntyre. I'm the chairman of the Architectural Review Board. The board itself also agrees, as we talked about, this conversation got started May, I think, April or May of last year, and we were asked at the time, and we also agree, given the gravity of the situation, that this decision should transfer from the board to the trustees and to our elected officials. We think it's the right thing for the village. Some people have asked why it's been taken on. It was part of the comprehensive plan that was done a number of years ago, and the comprehensive plan asked that the village review its properties for possible expansion. That work falls to the Architecture Review Board, and that's why we got started. And as a certified local government, that's why the state has funded it. We will now, once we get through moving the decision to the trustees, then our board will review the materials, because we haven't reviewed it yet. We've been waiting for this change, and then we will adopt what will be what we feel is the final version of the report with any corrections or changes we want to have made. Then we will make a recommendation to you, and then you guys will make the decision as it should be. So a couple of people have asked me about it, and I just want to be clear that the Architecture Review Board also agrees that given the gravity of this, moving it to the trustees and the elected officials is the right move. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
My name's Christine Whitaker, and I support the transition the transfer of the decision to the Board of Trustees. However, I think I read most of the report, and there are some errors, such as they're saying that all these streets are two-way, and that's not true. That's just one. To have on a street, every house is contributing, whether it's commercial or residential, is a bit faulty.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. Anyone else like to speak on this public hearing before we close it and move on to the next public hearing?
If I could, I'd like to make a comment. First of all, Mark, thank you for that clarification. It's one of the questions I've gotten from a number of people. What does the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation feel about this? I want to acknowledge a couple things. We have a great Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. They're engaged. They do a lot of great work. And they're going to continue to do great work. They're on any expansion or things of this nature in the future. They're the first line of defense, and it's more than just a line of defense. You'll be going through the technical aspects and making recommendations with a level of expertise that, frankly, we probably can't match. So we're going to be taking recommendations on any future actions if this law were to pass from that board. And I just wanted to also comment, this puts us in exactly the same company with Sag Harbor Village, East Hampton Village, and Southampton Town. whose municipal boards, not their ARBs as they call them, make this determination based on a recommendation. So we're really conforming the village's code to what all the other CLGs on the South Fork do, certified local governments. Just wanted to put that in the record.
Thank you, Rob.
Hi, Michael Zinder, 36 Pulaski Street. Just a question. So if the ARB is still working through their way on this, I take it the next meeting, which would be in March sometime, is not going to cover the substance of this? The substance of this is probably more likely an April thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it will be, again, the domain of the ARB to review what they were presented with by our consultants. They will then make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees as to what they think we should do. We will consider that, and we will have public hearings with the ARB, and then public hearings with the Board of Trustees, and then a final decision would be made.
So it sounds like April at the earliest.
I think there's going to be a little more time here, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Zender. Mr. Zananti would like to be recognized.
Thank you. I'm in a particularly unique situation with respect to this. As I looked at the study, the proposed historic district includes my home. So I think for obvious reasons, I will recuse myself from this conversation and from voting on this and perhaps future votes going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zananti. If there's no one else that would like to be heard, anyone on Zoom? Okay, then I will make a motion to close this public hearing regarding amending Chapter 65-3. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next public hearing here is adding Chapter 11 to the Village Code of Southampton, amending the terms of office of the village mayor and the village trustees from 2 years to 4 years. So at this time, again, I open the floor to members of the public to speak on this topic.
My name is Laura Davini. I live at 40 High Street in Southampton. I'm a former member of the Planning Commission, which studied this very issue. Maybe it was 4 years ago, maybe more, and it was decided not to go forward with it. So now it's come up again, just like a bad penny. So, first of all, you all trustees, you're part-time employee, you're part-time workers, part-time. The United States Congress, the Board of Representatives, the representatives of Congress have 2-year terms, 2. And I am in support of a 2-year term and not expanding it to 4 years. It makes for greater accountability. It makes for greater avenues for the public to weigh in on performance and sideways behavior. So given that, you want to do a public referendum. I'm a little concerned about that because with my ear to the ground, there have been some issues with public referendums recently, mainly vis-a-vis absentee ballots. So this is an issue for people that actually live here and live here a great deal, not somebody that comes for 6 weeks in the summer or who sends his son to vote absentee. I'm against the 4 years. It's not necessary. The budget of the village is $38 million. You can't afford to put on a vote in 2 years? Really? Really? So that's the way I feel. I feel that this issue was decided, and bringing it up again is, I don't know, for what reason? Really, it was decided. The village did not want it, and I don't think that the village wants it now. Also, just as an aside, you're gonna put this to a public referendum, and you're not going to include term limits on this. You're not. It's just going to be 4 years and 4 years and 4 years and 4 years. Really? That's ridiculous. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jay Deasing, and I'm a resident of the village for the last 38 years. I've seen an increasing animosity and chaos in our elections, in our boards, and in our ability to get things done. And I think part of that is the fact that, unfortunately, when you get elected, one of the first things you have to think about is possibly getting rid of the people who are running in the next election. And that seems to be the MO that's been happening for the past 10 to 12 years. So I think a 4-year term would help to provide some stability and force you all to work together, give you a chance to learn, bring new people on, and I think also bring younger residents of our community who, you say it's a part-time job. I think all of you would agree it's a very active part-time job. This is not something you do 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week. And so I think that by having people get a learning curve and an ability to use that knowledge to create compromise and get things done for our village would be important. But the main thing is even a bad penny should be reviewed by the entire village. We're voters. We have a right to vote one way or another, and I think it makes sense for you to give this a second look. The committee may have decided not to do it, but the committee is not the entire village, and I think the entire village has an opportunity and a right to be able to decide this. They may go either way, but that's my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Hey everyone, Jessica McNerney, White Street. I just wanted to say that no one is asking for this. This is something that you're bringing up yourself. So to be honest, it's mind-boggling while the board would never even put this to question on the ballot when it's not something that anyone has ran on, I believe. Has anyone up there, did you run on changing it to a 4-year term? So I don't understand why this is even up for debate. We're having issues right now in the village with transparency, and I think for the village's sake, it needs to stay to 2 years. So those who aren't being transparent with the public don't have to be reelected. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Good evening. Kimberly Allen, Southampton Village. First of all, I want to say I appreciate the traction that you're all making on the sewer. It's really terrific. Good job. And your approach is very much in line with the strategy that former Mayor Michael Irving had looked into in 2019. So it was a very good article to read in the newspaper. So we're all excited about that. What I'm not excited about, however, is I do not support the recommendation to extend the duration of the elected official time period in office, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I hear the argument that there's a learning curve, and anyone running for office should generally understand some aspects of the village, and it's not like you're coming in and running the village. You're actually coming in with a very well-regarded, well-oiled staff that supports you. You're not the project manager. You're enacting legislation and you're listening to the community. And I think if you're being elected every 2 years, you make a point to go out to the community and understand where they're coming from. The second is the costs of elections really don't matter when it cuts at the cornerstone of democracy. And the cost of holding them is rather modest compared to a very critical mistake that could be made with zoning or other policies that would take 4 years to unwind and potentially damage people. The other is the continuity of projects. Here you are, you've done a great job in moving the sewer forward, but that was done on the previous administration too, and the one before that. And I think even Mayor Mark Eppley had recommended it in 2015 or 14, and it was shot down. But it came around despite all these different people being in office. So if you want to look at, a learning curve and losing it, you won't lose it. And here's a good example. Mayor Maria Moore was in West Hampton Beach, and she was a mayor and had 2-year terms. She was elected every year because she was effective and she managed to install a new sewer system, which was unheard of essentially over a 6-year period. Now she's serving as a town supervisor in a 2-year role and also will be weighed upon her effectiveness. So I just think that a village is very different than a county. And in the study that was put forward by the Planning Commission, I kind of picked through that over the past week, and I found out that the majority of villages still have 2-year terms. As a matter of fact, it's almost 60%. So I don't think you can compare village mechanics and the whole ecosystem to that of a county level or a town level. I think they're very different. And I appreciate you listening.
Minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Hi, Michael Zender again, Pulaski Street. I think the key point I would like to make here is there needs to be a balancing in effect. And there's clearly some advantages to 4-year terms. There's economies of scale and there's resources and whatnot devoted to these elections. But that being said, I do take very strongly under advisement the arguments that many have made about responsibility and being responsive to the public. And I do think in the case of a small village like ours, the 2-year terms probably do make more sense, recognizing that there are some benefits to the other. So I certainly would support keeping things as they are. To the extent there is a referendum, though, and I'm not sure we need one, but if people decide to go forward with that, I do think that there has to be a much wider public effort made to advise people about this sort of thing. I very much worry about a very vocal small minority, dominating that kind of a referendum, especially if it's done in the near future. I think if you're going to go through with a referendum, you need to delay it for a while, make sure there's advertising or notice about it, not only in the Southampton Press, but I know you guys put out a quarterly piece of literature yourselves, and it should be in there, and whatever else you can muster up. But I think people really need to be informed about this and make an informed decision about it before going forward. So that would be my advice on that sort of thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zinder.
Hello, everyone. This is Elizabeth Dance. I live on Prospect Street in Southampton Village. I'm a longtime Southampton resident back to the early 90s. I have spoken. I was shocked, as many of my neighbors were, to read in the newspapers that once again the board is asking for double terms, so 4-year terms. I just question whether our mayor and many of the board members that continually support him are listening at all to the residents, to the things that the residents have been bringing up and voting on year after year after year. Because most of us feel like you just are absolutely ignoring what we've been telling you. We've asked for more transparency. We've gotten so much less. There's all sorts of, I think we have a mayor that is conniving, dishonest, not sharing information with people that he should, and other people are guiding it. And we are the idea is absolutely shocking that once again we have to have a whole discussion so you guys can have 4 years to do whatever you want. And twice in a row we voted against this. And you can be sure we will gather the people that we need in this village to go against a 4-year term. It's absolutely ridiculous. Already, most of us are outraged and feeling that we're not getting what we want. So I just wanted to make my voice heard because I really feel we have a board that is just blind and is choosing to be blind to the residents' best interests. And that's really unfortunate when you live in a village like that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Evening, my name is Robert Deviney. I live at 40 High Street. In this particular case, I would like to agree with my wife. And there are issues that go back and forth in my mind about this issue, but the one that sticks with me is the issue of transparency. And I'm not sure we have that still. Although I will give a tip of the hat to the new team at the Long Island, at the Southampton Press, who have done very well in piercing the veil. Thank you very much, Press. And that's the issue for me, transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the room like to speak? Otherwise, we'll go to those on Zoom. Anyone on the board want to speak? Sure.
Okay. We have a hand. You got a hand.
Okay, sorry. Let's go to Zoom then. Ken, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. And nobody seems to be asking for it except you. I think this is really in bad faith. And that's what I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so I guess we'll go back to Mr. Simeone with his written statement.
There has been increasing discussion about whether Southampton Village should extend mayoral and trustee terms for 2 years, from 2 years to four. A recent Planning Commission report outlines arguments for longer terms, including continuity, administrative stability, cost, and time and for long-term planning. These points deserve consideration, but they must be weighed against what would be lost. At its core, this issue is about accountability. 2-year terms require elected officials to regularly explain their decisions, defend their record, and seek renewed public trust. That rhythm keeps local government close to the people it serves. Extending terms to 4 years would cut those opportunities for voter review in half. That is not a procedural tweak. It is a structural change in how accountability functions. The Planning Commission suggests longer terms are needed for institutional memory and long-range projects. Yet, Southampton already has continuity through professional staff, adopted plans, standing boards and committees, and staggered offices. Major initiatives routinely span multiple boards under the current system. Election costs are also cited, but those costs must be viewed in context. Elections are not merely administrative expenses. They are a primary mechanism by which residents hold government accountable. The value of regular voter oversight outweighs the cost of conducting elections. Some argue that 2-year terms create a permanent campaign. In practice, regular engagement with residents is not campaigning. It is governing, listening, responding, and explaining decisions are fundamental responsibilities of local office. Term length is not a minor technical detail. It shapes how responsive government is, how often voters are heard, and how quickly change can occur when residents seek it. 2-year terms have served Southampton well for generations. They strike a balance between continuity and accountability that reflects the scale and civic culture of our village. Before altering that balance, the case for change must be clear, compelling, and broadly supported. At this time, I believe maintaining the current 2-year term best preserves the accountability and responsiveness of our residents expect and deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Anyone else on the board like to speak at this time?
Sure. Thanks, Mayor.
The first thing I'd like to say is if this resolution passes and if there is a referendum, I certainly would trust the wisdom of an informed electorate. To echo some points made earlier, we have an obligation to to keep people informed and make sure that there's awareness. But I certainly would trust the determination of residents on this matter. That said, like most residents, I was unaware that this topic even had a pulse after it was mooted, I think actually on a couple of occasions over the past 5 or 6 years. But apparently it's been under fairly active but private consideration by some members of this board in consultation with private groups and individuals for most of a year and perhaps longer. As a general rule, I think if an idea is believed by anyone on this board to be beneficial to the village, it deserves to be brought into public discussion as soon as reasonably possible, rather than being kept secret from the public or other members of this board. I was unaware this was an active topic until it came up during a post-meeting legal advisory session in December. So that was disappointing. And I know it's gone to the Planning Commission. I appreciate the work they did on this. They gave it some thoughtful attention. Their report didn't seem to reflect what I observed at the meeting in terms of the range of views on it. I also note that the Planning Commission under our code has only one legal purpose. There's only one. The Planning Commission's role is to make recommendations regarding the implementation of the comprehensive plan. That's their only legal role. Before you waste any time looking for discussion of electoral terms in the comprehensive plan, I'll tell you I've done it for you. It's not there. So I'm still scratching my head as to why it went to them. I don't think it's an appropriate use of our Planning Commission. And that's not to say anything about the members of that board or the work that they did. Broadly, at this point, I feel this is a mildly interesting solution, desperately in search of a compelling problem. And if we're going to go forward on this, I've spoken with the majority of this board and had an agreement from a majority of this board that we should not take a vote on this tonight, that at least the file and perhaps the hearing itself stays open for written comments, ideally through the March regular meeting, so that we can either have additional hearing there or at least public comments on this topic at the beginning of the meeting. If it were to move forward, I would ask that 3 amendments be considered and, in my opinion, included. First, as drafted right now, the proposed law would begin this great idea that we should do, but hey, we shouldn't do it until a year after we need to. There are going to be some reasons given as to why that seems like, if not a necessity, a good idea, but I don't buy them, frankly. So if we are going to do this, the 3-year transition should start in 2027, not in 2028. I think we should also be aware of, at least, and have a discussion on the need to think about special elections and what happens. As it turns right now, we have an election every year. If someone becomes incapacitated or if a midterm trustee gets elected as mayor, there's an appointment for a year. That seems comfortable. It's worked well in the past. With 4-year terms, you're talking about gaps of up to 2 years. So I think we just need to understand, which in my opinion is not a reasonable time for one person to appoint another member of this board. So I'd like to have that issue addressed in some way. And lastly, I've received a lot of calls from residents saying if we are going to move forward on this, we should marry this somehow with term limits. It may not be possible to do sort of a compound resolution, but we might want to separately have a resolution to limit terms to, say, 8 years, whether it's 4 2-year terms or 2 4-year terms, but think about term limits, and that's something I think even one of the co-chairs of the Planning Commission had mentioned to me he felt would be a logical and good idea. I guess just want to underscore my desire tonight would be that we keep this hearing open and allow written comments, some more discussion through letters to the press and that sort of thing, and more discussion among neighbors before we move forward on a final vote. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Stevenson, go ahead.
I think this looks as close as possible.
Thank you. Yeah. Just a few points. Mr. Coburn addressed the fact that this resolution, if the referendum were to pass, the the change would not take effect for several years. And the key point of that is, that the last time this proposal was brought before the board, there was a misunderstanding in the people that I heard at the board meeting where it was discussed that the board itself was trying to extend the length of its own terms. So by moving the effectiveness of the change into the future, it means that it is very likely that none of the current board members would benefit from the increased term length. And I think that's an important consideration. The other difference between having a referendum and the previous discussion of this idea is that when it was last presented to the Board of Trustees a couple of years ago, the decision was to be made by a resolution of the Board of Trustees to whether extend the terms or not. In this current offering, it is merely to authorize a referendum to let the people of this village decide whether that is a good idea or not. Now, several people have said tonight that nobody wants this. I personally have heard a number of people say, gosh, we have to do this every year? Whether or not that's a good idea, I see nothing wrong with asking the people of this good village to decide whether it's a good idea or not. Personally, I see both sides. I understand the accountability that comes with 2-year terms. I also understand, as a trustee, how sometimes it takes time to get things done, and having a 4-year term would benefit that. I really do see both sides, and I'm not here to list the reasons on both sides of the argument why that's good or bad. I actually am pretty agnostic. I really wouldn't care whether this passed or not. I kind of like campaigning, but I also see the benefit of doing it every 4 years. And it's not just, it's the fact that we have an election every year. It's not that we have an election every 2 years. We have an election every year. And it's just constant going around, knocking on doors, telling people this, telling people that. I speak to a lot of people just in my everyday life because I happen to be in a store that people come in all the day and talk to me. So I feel like I spend a lot of time getting feedback and giving feedback. Anyway, my point is I don't see anything wrong with doing a referendum. I do definitely agree with several of the comments and with my compatriot, Mr. Coburn, that there should be term limits. This should not be, you shouldn't get to do this forever. 8 years is plenty. And I really think term limits should be added to this. And I also agree with Mr. Coburn that this discussion should not be concluded tonight and should be extended. That said, and further, although I think that the June 19th election, if this referendum were to be put on that ballot, is plenty of time, I also agree with the comments that have been made that this issue needs to be definitely well disseminated to the public so everybody understands that it's on the ballot and has an opportunity to make their opinion heard at the ballot box. And I think that pretty much covers what I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Can I just ask Eileen to clarify something? What are we actually voting on? Because I think it was slightly misstated just then. We are voting to create this law, but it's essentially held in suspension, right? We're not just voting to create a referendum. Is that correct?
You would be voting to impose. You would be voting to impose extend the terms, but making it subject. It wouldn't take effect unless a majority of the voters of the public referendum would. That's how it works.
And if I could, just in response to Roy, I hear what you're saying about insulating from anyone on this board benefiting. I mean, I can personally say, since I'm not pushing this, I'm not looking for any benefit from it myself. But it's incongruous, in my opinion, to say we really want and we trust the voters to make this decision in a referendum this year. But next year, when the only people who could benefit would be subject to an election next year, you don't trust them to make an informed decision at that next election in 2027. Somehow waiting another year insulates it or makes it more trustworthy. I think we need to, if we're trusting the electorate, we should trust the electorate. And So I just don't understand any logical reason for an additional year of delay if this were to move
Well,
forward.
because if you did it next year, for instance, next year my term is up. So if I ran again, I would be arguing, I would be saying today, yeah, let's pass this law so that the next year, if I happen to get elected again, I would get 4 years.
But the voters get to say no in that election.
They do,
Or
but
yes.
I don't.
you know?
I don't want it to appear that I'm arguing one way or another to have longer term or not. I want to be agnostic in that. I really don't care.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Zanotti, did you want to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. I think the concept of term limits is definitely a different concept than length of terms. And there are pros and cons to term limits. I think that we should consider term limits, but there are pitfalls with term limits. When elected officials know that they only have a certain amount of time, they could take actions that will hamper future trustees and mayors. So it's a dicey thing. With respect to transparency, the word has been brought up a number of times tonight. I don't think there's anything more transparent than having a referendum, an election. That is the ultimate transparency. So I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Mr. Zinder, you spoke before, so I'm not sure we're able to keep having the same person come back again. But if it's a quick thing.
Very quick. Just a point. If there's going to be a referendum on the next ballot, that's June 19th, which happens to be when the U.S. Open is in full force here. I think the village is going to be hard to get around, and there's a lot of people, including myself, who's going to be at that U.S. Open. I was just wondering if there's any way, if it's legally possible, to have the election on a different day for this particular year, especially with an important thing like that on the ballot. If you could move it back 1 week, I think it would make a big difference.
I think we'd have to check with the Board of Elections.
Well, that was just raised to me for the first time tonight, so I would have to look into it. My instinct is no, because it's set by statute.
I'd appreciate it if you could look into that. It'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would just say that, I'm happy to look at term limits as a component of this as well, although obviously the ultimate term limit is the voters get to vote the person out of office if they want to limit that person's term. So that's it. I mean, it would take effect automatically if they were voted out of office. But I'm happy to look at term limits if that's what, again, the people would like to see as part of this, that we would also impose term limits so that there would be, again, more change on the board with different people, different voices. And so we can certainly look at that. I would just say that the thing that I've been hearing from some people is they just don't like the divisiveness that occurs every year, especially in May and June, in this village, where you have people, all fighting against one another to see who's going to either get on the board or remain on the board or get off the board. I'm hearing from people that the divisiveness that comes to this village annually is something that they don't appreciate, and they think if we were to do it every other year, that would be more palatable. So that was one thing that I've heard from actually many people, really, is just about the divisiveness of these races in our small village. But with that, I think what I'll do is I will make a motion to close this public hearing for oral comment and leave it open again for written comment for 12 days until our next meeting, which is the 24th of February. So I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion,
Yeah.
Any reason not to continue this till the March meeting where there could be public comments, not in the record of this hearing, but at least for our benefit prior to, taking a vote?
People can speak in public comment at the March election. I thought it was your idea that you wanted to have just written comment now, Rob.
I'm happy to take written comments, but I'd like to hold this open for written comments through the March meeting. so that there
until
could
March.
also be verbal comments during the general public comment section at the beginning of the March meeting. I think as much as some people here are informed on this, there are some people who are still just learning about this through the press today
Okay.
and through this discussion.
I think that's a good idea, Bill.
All right, so then we'll hold this.
Excuse me, there is a timing issue. Eileen, can you talk about that?
I think April 1st is the date. Yeah. So we would be fine keeping this open for written comment only through March 12th, which is the next Board of Trustees meeting.
Discussion, why not public comment on March 12th?
Well, as Rob was just saying, they can speak in public comment at that meeting.
Oh, so we can have public comment on March 12th?
Yes. So anyway, I make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Now we will go on to something really exciting, and that is to talk about the proposed sewer for the Village of Southampton, otherwise known as the Clean Water Project. And this will be presented by Paul Travis, who is the chair of the Sewer Committee. And so I call upon him. I see him over here on the left. Also, Adriana Restrepo from the firm of D&B, who have been our engineers on this plan, and Kevin Mestos as well from D&B. So if you'd like to come to the podium, I think that would be the best place to address the audience and the public watching on Zoom. And I know there's a presentation that Adriana is going to give, but at this time I'll hand it over to our chairman, Mr. Paul Travis.
Thank you. Just give me a second. Okay, so first of all, I want to acknowledge all the members of the Sewer Task Force, not all of whom are here tonight. I think some of them hopefully will be able to join by Zoom. And Rachel, Janice Scher from the town of Southampton, who's been incredibly helpful to us. And Moneypenny, Robert Varadian, and then trustees Zinani and Coburn. And there were those on the board who worked with me on this issue over a decade ago at the Planning Commission. So it's been a very long time, not an easy process. But to me, personally, one of the most important issues that this village needs to resolve, which is how to make sure we both are improving the quality of Lake Agawam and our other freshwater resources, and providing for appropriate growth in the business district with the ability to do uses that are not now allowed. So, as I said, we've spent a very long time on this. The most difficult issue always has been finding a site. And as some of you may have read, we think we finally have a site, which is very exciting. So we're going to go through that tonight and then talk a little bit about next steps. So hopefully this will work.
Paul, could I just throw in, I think you left off John Wambold.
Oh, I'm sorry, and John Wambold, sorry.
Yep, thanks.
I apologize.
On the task force.
All right, Adriana, floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Adriana Restrepo. I'm with D&B Engineers and Architects, and I'm just going to give a brief overview of all the work that has been done. It's just going to be to introduce the project. So why are we looking into installing a sanitary system that's going to collect the sanitary sewage in the village? Our two main issues. One is the on-site sanitary systems that are either outdated or located in regions that have shallow groundwater that contributes to contaminating the groundwater. So what needs to be done? So the solution is to collect the sewer, to convey it, treat it before it is discharged into the subsurface. This protects the health of the public, protects the health of the water surfaces around the village, including Lake Agawam, and it also promotes the development of the village downtown center as it is in the master plan. What is the process of implementing this system? So since it is protecting the surface water, the intent is to cover the watershed that is impacting the Lake Agawam, and also the areas that have high groundwater, because that's how the sanitary sewage is transferred into the surface water as well. It includes also the town hall and the elementary school. Selecting the site. So Paul was mentioning that has been one of the most difficult parts of finding a place to install the treatment plant for several reasons. So it needs to be large enough that you could accommodate the plant, and you could also accommodate the effluent discharge area. You need about 3.5 acres to do that for the flow that is being collected and treated. You need setbacks with respect to the treatment plant. In this case, for a enclosed process system, you need 150 feet to the adjacent property line, and you need 200 feet to habitable structures. The groundwater in the area needs to be at least 12 feet if you're going to do, even for just shallow leaching pools. And that's kind of difficult in the area because around the area it's high groundwater. The location also needs to be acceptable for Suffolk County Water Authority to protect the source of clean water. It needs to be within the village limits and preferably a parcel owned by the village to reduce cost, and near the area that's sewer, because that way you could transfer either the sewer by gravity or you could pump it to the treatment plant on a shorter distance.
And let me just add that given all of these requirements for a site, we have on the sewer committee over many years looked at literally every single vacant piece of land within the boundaries of the village. There are not many. The village is fully built out. Many that seemed at first glance to really work ended up not working. So, for example, we looked at a site on Aldridge Lane, seemed like a great site. It turned out that was not acceptable to the Suffolk County Water Authority because it was in the watershed for their wells. So, I've been approached many times over many years about the site that everyone thinks would work. And I want to assure everybody in the room that there is not a site that we have not studied, and that's one of the reasons it has taken so long. Some of you know it was obviously publicly discussed. We looked at sites in the town, and that was not ultimately what the town wanted. The town really wanted us to focus the site in the village. So this really was a tremendous lucky break for us in a way when the owner of the Southampton Press called the mayor and offered to make his site available. It was really an opportunity we did not expect to have.
So that comes to the site. So this is an aerial of the village-owned parcel. What you see, the small rectangle, I guess outlined with white color, behind the ambulance barn, that's the proposed site for the process treatment. And the discharge of the treated effluent is where the yellow box is, currently where the dog park is now. So it checks the boxes that we had talked about before, in size and setbacks, groundwater depth, and proximity within the area. So this is in the middle of the sewer area.
The 150-foot required setback to a property line and 200 feet to a habitable structure. But I think the committee and your team have done some extra work, because I think that outer thin white line is the 200-foot line, and we're keeping that outside of even the property lines for adjacent properties. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. So the outside line that you see is the 200-foot setback, and it's being kept within the property line, and it could have been extended to actually the actual buildings, the structures. So yes, it was kept farther apart. So with locating the building and designing the building, there's a couple of issues that need to be dealt with. One of them is the look of the building. You don't want to see an ugly building in the middle of the village. So the idea of the design is to blend it with the buildings around the area, including the police department and the ambulance barn. So this is a rendering that shows one idea. It's not, it's not fully developed. It's obviously just to kind of show what could be done for kind of mimicking the surrounding area. Odors is an important thing that we understand, and we want to make sure that the facility is designed to prevent any odors escaping from the treatment plant. So it's in an enclosed building. Chemical are going to be added to the sewage at the pump station. Like I said before, the setbacks also prevent any odors from being a nuisance for neighbors. And the building is also ventilated. So.
I could also point out that there currently is a sewage treatment plant operating in the village at the Southampton Hospital. It's been operating for many years. Nobody, to my mind, there are no complaints around that area about smell. In fact, most people don't even know it's there. And
Right.
it's a very old treatment plant, and this would be state-of-the-art technology and certainly advanced in terms of everything it does to control any potentially negative issues. So I think that's important to know.
Correct, and it's closer to other structures in that area. So yes, correct.
And the other thing to point out, Adriana, is that the leaching fields are completely underground on the adjoining property. So what you see there in the sort of yellowish green color, that is all below grade. You would not see any of that. You would just see grass over the top of that. So it would still appear as a parkland area.
Correct. That's correct. So how to put together the system itself? It needs to obviously bring the flow to the treatment plant. So the flow is going to, the pipes are going to be installed within the roadway or behind the businesses where there's parking lots available. And they will come by gravity to the pump station, and from the pump station to the treatment plant will be pumped. And here you could see, I guess, a close-up of, again, the treatment plant, the building, and you see like the small circles like you see, it's really underground. Once it's built, the leaching area, you'll see grass on top and a small like manhole covers for access to the leading leaching pool. Any questions or?
Yeah, anyone from the board want to ask any questions? Or Robert or Len, since you've been on the committee the longest on the board, why don't you have anything you want to say?
I'm the oldest and been on it the longest. I want to thank Adriana and her colleague, Kevin, for the hard work, but I especially want to thank Paul Travis for great leadership and surviving setbacks and moving on as a great leader would. He's been terrific through this.
Yep, I'll just say this is a great milestone. I'll echo what Len said. I'd also I don't want to be a skunk at the picnic. I'll just say there's still a lot of wood to chop. There are important milestones. There's some important considerations. There's some feedback issues on some details from the public. And there's still some detailed engineering to go. So this is a critical sort of first concrete step for what will be another probably 6 to 12 months of intensive planning and finalization of engineering and putting together grant packages and that sort of thing, even before any construction is considered. So we should be prepared for that, and I think we're prepared to communicate on those issues.
Yeah, if I can make a comment, I mean, this has been a 20-plus year project that actually started with Sia McSammy on the Planning Commission and then with Paul Travis, and I was involved in it, and I think that the location we're looking at today was the same location we were looking at back then, so it went full circle, so we know it's a 20-year cycle in order to find these properties, but I'm very glad that we finally reached the conclusion, I hope, and that we can go forward with this project.
I do want to add that the Deputy County Executive for Water Quality asked for a presentation, which we did earlier this week, and it was received very, very well. The plan is very well thought out, and the site is the cherry on the cake.
And the most important thing is that those who have dogs and like to frequent the dog park on Windmill Lane, you will still go to Windmill Lane just 300 feet to the south for a brand new dog park on the site that is currently being used by the Southampton Press building. That will be demolished. The parking lot will be removed, and that will be turned into a dog park. It will also have a connection to the Rogers Memorial Library at the rear of the property to the south. And so we think actually that that's an improved location. It will be a little closer to the center of the village with contiguous connection with the library and then with the police station on the other side, and opposite Jagger Lane to the east where the Stop and Shop is. So we think that that's really a great location for the dog park, and that was really important, obviously, to keep a dog park in that vicinity of Windmill Lane. And again, finding this, it's just over an acre from the owners of the site there, the Lockheim family, that has that property still in their name, but they would be, again, willing to sell this for our use as a future dog park. Anyone else have comments on Zoom, Sage? Yeah, I'm going to get her. 1 second. I just want to see if... Sorry?
Yeah, let's try it out.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to keep on talking until you tell me not to. I have a lot of concerns about this sewage plant. I find it very ironic that you are trying to expand the historic district, and right in the middle of where you want to expand it, you're putting a large sewage plant. So I agree that there are great benefits, and we probably do need a sewage plant eventually. But the purpose of the Southampton Town Community Preservation Fund is to protect the town's rural character, environment, and open spaces. So I don't know if that, except for the environment with the water, I don't know if that really fulfills that. I would put it to you that this should be a problem figured out by Southampton Town and the villages that encompass that area as a holistic approach, not just the village. I don't know why we have never worked towards that, because there are other areas of water that affect us as well, and there's a lot more open spaces that we could use to create some type of a sewage plant. When I look at your map, you're going to be taking away the dog park and making it in another location, but there have been people that have put their lifeblood into creating that dog park, and perhaps may not want that. Secondly, what's going to happen is the basketball court's going to be gone too. No one's addressed that either. So I don't know if you're going to move the basketball cart somewhere at all, but I think that's a problem. Anyway, you're very close to the historic district, and I don't think it's going to enhance the village by doing this, and I think you should broaden your mind as to where you're going to put this and work with Southampton Village. Thank you. Southampton Town, excuse me.
My name is Chris Gobler from Stony Brook University. I've been studying Lake Agawam since 2003 and documenting the ills of environmental problems within Lake Agawam since that time. Toxic blue-green algae blooms that have been a very serious both ecosystem and human health threat because those blooms synthesize specifically microcystin, which is a regulated toxin regulated by EPA, to very high levels every single year. These blooms are being promoted by excessive nitrogen, and a lot of that nitrogen, about I think more than 25%, is coming from Main Street in the area that's being going to be sewered. So this is a great step forward for the village and for a great environmental victory for the village and for the citizens of the village of Southampton. Beyond reducing the nitrogen loads and therefore the intensity of these blooms by maybe up to 40%, it also potential growth that's added to the village in the future. So I think it's a great advance, and I applaud the village for this step, very important step. And I hope I hope you could hear everything I just said.
I know a lot of sites have been looked at over the last few years, so I think taking that into account, I just want to compliment the board on finding a site that seems reasonable and that will work for this. So I think it's a great development. So my question actually goes in the other direction, which is to say, has anyone given any thought, is this going to max out its capacity on day one? Or would it be possible to expand this maybe in the future when there's more funding and whatnot, so that the rest, clearly the key parts of the village are being accommodated now, which is great. But eventually it'd be great to include more of the village. And I was just wondering, is that even possible?
Yes, very good point. So first of all, the plan provides not only for the current flow, but for the projected flow over the next 20 to 30 years from the central business district. And then in addition to that, there is an area next to the plant to the south that allows for an expanded building, and the leaching fields also permit use beyond what we're currently projecting.
This is our county legislator, Ann Welker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the village board, and what's left of the audience. I am the Suffolk County legislator for the 2nd District. My name is Ann Welker. The 2nd District encompasses the entire town of East Hampton and most of the town of Southampton. I am honored to serve on or sit on the Public Works, Environment, and Transportation committees at the legislature. I also serve on the Suffolk County Water Quality Restoration Board, which we all voted for as part of Proposition 2 in 2024. That is the 1/8% tax that goes towards the Suffolk County sales tax that goes towards 50% upgrading of IA systems and 50% wastewater treatment. I am a former Southampton Town trustee, and although I am not a village resident, I am a lifelong East End resident. And I'm here to support the Clean Water Project of Southampton Village, and not just support it, but strongly support it. Lake Agawam, as was just stated by Professor Gobler, Lake Agawam was designated by New York State as a 303D impaired water body, in that which is under the Clean Water Act, and that water body is heavily impacted by harmful algal blooms. The number one recommendation of the harmful algal bloom action plan by the DEC was for Southampton Village to implement a wastewater treatment plant. The water quality in Lake Agawam has been an issue for decades. A wastewater treatment plant would also allow for second floor apartments in the office district. That zoning is in place, but we are not permitted to move forward because of the Suffolk County Department of Health restricting any such growth. The presence of a willing seller for this site is critically important. It's so important as part of this plan. The traffic and affordability are such important issues throughout our region. The ability for us to address this with second floor apartments is just, it's such an opportunity. And I really want to just state that the ability to keep our younger people here and or have our younger people come back after college or after having lived outside of the region, in addition to being able to keep our older residents here, is just, that's what keeps our community strong. The Suffolk County Department of Public Works, the Suffolk County representatives for the Suffolk County Executive, and the Suffolk County Department of Health have all been informed of this plan and are reviewing and considering it. But in our meeting the other day, they were very favorably impressed with the work that's been done by many over many years. So I thank you. I applaud the time and the attention and the work of many that have been done over decades now. And I look forward to furthering our cause. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Chuck, did you want to say something? All right. Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, sure. Yes.
Great.
Maybe we have to have the mic move down just slightly. Perfect. You got it, Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Burke. I'm a member of the Southampton Dog Park Committee and the people who founded this dog park. And I'm here to read a statement from the chair of the Southampton Dog Park Committee, Zoe Kamitzis, who couldn't be here tonight. It was 13 years ago that Zoe Kamitzis, the chair of the Southampton Village Dog Park Committee, finally convinced the Village Board of Trustees to let us try to create a dog park at the Lola Prentice Memorial Park. I think the trustees finally okayed it because we said we would raise all the money to convert the park from dog lovers, not the taxpayers of Southampton Village, which seemed fair to us. And we did that. We knew it was a memorial park, so we looked up Lola Prentice and found her obituary. In it, she asked that in lieu of flowers, contributions would be made to the guide dogs for the blind. So we knew she loved dogs. We found a photograph of her on the internet, lovingly holding a small dog, and that photograph has been on our dog park bulletin board for the 12 years we've been operating, as a thank you and in honor of her. We found out about this desperate situation the village faces concerning the sewer requirement last Thursday. We were heartbroken, as we've all come to love our dog park and have cherished taking care of it. The incredibly beautiful, majestic trees, the 31 benches that were bought as donations to the park in memories of owners and dogs that have loved our park, the space for 3 separate parks so everyone feels safe, the appreciation of visitors to our village and town from far and wide who call it the best dog park they've ever seen, and I think it is. I've seen a lot of them. But we live in the village and we love our village as well. Our village has been trying to find a location for the park, for the sewer, that could help save Agawam Lake and keep our citizens safe and our business district vibrant for many, many years. We have heard the stories of the searches from Paul, among other people, the rules and regulations that say it has to be located in the village on 2.2 acres or 3.5 acres, now I hear. Not an easy find, and the village has searched everywhere for years to find a location, and time is running short. So the village has come up with a plan to move our dog park to the Southampton Press location on Windmill Lane so that our dogs and loving owners can still have a home in our village. It's amazing how important the park has been to our dog owners who meet at their favorite times with the new friends they have made in the last 12 years. The park is very similar to a European village square, and we are well aware that of the very great need that the village had for that sort of gathering place. It really works. We asked ourselves on our committee, in this situation, what do we want? Ideally, we want to keep our current perfect park. But barring that, if that's not possible, we want a Southampton Village Dog Park. And we are very, very grateful to Mayor Manger and the trustees for their offer to build an almost comparable park nearby for us, complete with the features of our dog park, even the big red dog. And as much as we love our current park, the dogs are so very grateful that their needs and their owners' needs will still be met if this all comes to fruition as is hoped by many of us here. Our village needs to work together for the good of all, and I hope that this process will accomplish that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. Thank you. Now we'll have Chuck Scarborough.
I live at 521st Lane, Chuck Scarborough, and that was a delightful little letter that we just heard. I've enjoyed the dog park myself, with my dog, of course. Phoebe enjoys it very much. When I arrived here, I heard that the letter that the Lake Agawam Conservancy had sent. I'm a member of the board of the Lake Agawam Conservancy, and we are here, of course, to support this vital project. But I heard the letter came in too late to be entered into the record. So I'm going to read the letter that we sent today for the benefit of reading it into the record right now. Dear Mayor Manger and the Village Board of Trustees, the Lake Agawam Conservancy strongly supports the acquisition of 135 Windmill Lane to install a wastewater treatment system for the business district. A centralized system is critical in improving water quality, not only in Lake Agawam, but all of our shared water bodies. Surrounding municipalities, including the village of West Hampton Beach, have successfully installed or connected to sewage treatment plants and enjoy significantly improved water quality, along with thriving business districts. Untreated sewage is the single largest contributor to our local water contamination. Without a wastewater treatment system, our groundwater, the source of our drinking water, pond, and lake water, will remain dangerously polluted. Lake Agawam continues to be plagued by harmful algal blooms due to excess nitrogen from sanitary systems. Southampton Village lags behind because there has not been a property of suitable size available in close proximity to the business district that can be used for wastewater treatment. It is imperative to move quickly now that such a property is on the market and adjacent to existing village property. This acquisition allows the village to centralize this important infrastructure along with the existing public service, the police and ambulance buildings, while also accommodating the recreational dog park amenities so important to our community. We applaud the work that's gone into getting the village to this point. Please keep going, at long last, to achieve the vital goal of wastewater treatment for the health of our village. Sincerely, Megan Magyar, President, Lake Agawam Conservancy. The last sentence contained the words "at long last," and that's been observed by several people here. It's been well over 20 years since the project has been proposed and tried, and it was actually one of the original reasons we founded the first Lake Agawam Conservancy, which was Lake Agawam system that we put together to try to protect the lake way back when, and been working ever since to try to restore the health of the lake to what it once was so it could be used for recreational purposes safely now. But for 20 years, we've seen site after site come and go. Problems occur. And I can only tell you this is the most exciting thing that I've seen in a long time for the health of the village. That, as Chris Gobler, our science advisor, noted, 25% of the nitrogen that flows into the lake comes from the business district. We can correct that with this system. We can correct a lot of things with the wastewater, with this system. And when we add on the progressive, the IA systems, the innovative systems, when we add those into the homes, we will actually do a great deal to clean up the lake. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the sewer system alone does help clean up the lake to the point that it becomes recreationally safe. There are other things we've done, of course, around the lake. The Conservancy has. The bioswales have been helpful in filtering water. The permeable reactive barrier that we've installed in Agawam Park is helpful in intercepting some of the nitrogen that comes down from the business district. But this is a real game changer, and I applaud the task force. I applaud all of you up here who support this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. Pete.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Pete Topping. I'm the executive director and baykeeper with Peconic Baykeeper. We're an environmental nonprofit that works on water quality issues throughout the East End. I'm also personally a Southampton Town resident, and I frequent Southampton Village. So I'm here to say on behalf of the organization that we're really excited to see this project getting closer to moving forward. It's kind of like the Goldilocks scenario. There's always going to be a little too hot, a little too cold. When I saw this proposal, and again, I didn't see this till this week, immediately it was like, this makes sense. I know some people want this system outside of the village. I'm on the East Hampton Town Water Quality Committee for the CPF. I have seen the costs associated with trying to pipe sewage treatment plants outside villages, and that's really prohibitive. So if we keep kicking the can, we're not going to get anywhere. So keeping it centralized in the village, hooking up our restaurants, town hall. I was elated to see the schools because the IA systems, or the on-site wastewater systems that we encourage homeowners to install, those are designed for homes. So you're washing laundry, you're washing dishes, you're taking showers, you're actually diluting your effluent. So those systems work well for that. Schools are another scenario, so it's almost pure effluent. So you really need a system that's scaled to treat that, and having it centralized does a good job. A functioning sewage treatment plant should not emit any odors, and also importantly, the treatment plants, the standards, I believe, are less than or equal to 10 milligrams of nitrogen per liter, which is about half of the IA system standards. And many of these systems can treat even beyond that. So I think this is going to go a long way toward improving the quality of Lake Agawam, our harmful algal blooms, and our other water bodies. So again, we look forward to being engaged with the village and hopefully seeing this through the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. My name's John Wombold. I live at 99 Boyson Road in Southampton Village. Recently become a member of the Sewage Task Force very recently, and I'm here today to speak in strong support of the project. So my wife Melanie and I are property owners in Southampton Village. We've been residents here for over 30 years. I've been involved in the community. I've served on the hospital board for 20 years, which entails volunteering countless hours to improve access to and the quality of the health care we receive in our community. You know, we've all heard the quote, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Consistently improving the health of our residents is a critically important goal, which is why I'm speaking out tonight in full support of the proposed wastewater treatment facility and property acquisition at 135 Windmill Lane. As mentioned by many tonight, this project is about protecting the environment and the health of our village, and it ensures a vibrant future. For decades, outdated cesspools and septic systems in the business district have had a volume of flow they were never designed to handle forced upon them. As a result, the older designs and overuse, the ground and groundwater under our village are being poisoned. This project will stop this environmental abuse by replacing these old systems with a new centralized wastewater treatment system that uses state-of-the-art technology to collect and clean wastewater before it re-enters the ecosystem. We've heard by many before me the benefits of that, of reducing nitrogen and the effects it would have on the local waterways. It's a highly desirable and very straightforward concept. I commend the mayor and the board of trustees for being thoughtful, hardworking, and proactive. Again, they've been at this for decades, and they've moved very quickly on a fortuitous, once-in-a-generation opportunity to aggregate public land to create an ideal location for a small treatment plant. Location provides the buffers needed, as we saw in the schematics that were put up on the screen, to ensure residences are unaffected. The planned setbacks exceed Suffolk County standards. The entire system will be enclosed, with most of the system being underground. It'll be quiet and odor-free. You won't see it, hear it, or smell it. You won't even know it's there. In addition, there'll be more than an acre of land that will now be increased green space, reducing a modern building that was built there with a more centrally located brand new dog park. This project strengthens our community. It supports downtown businesses, medical offices, schools, and municipal buildings. It could also support workforce housing in existing and underutilized residential units that are restricted by wastewater issues. This new system is meant to efficiently support what we currently have in the village, not support explosive growth. This is not a nice-to-have project, it's a must-have. We need this for our village to remain vibrant and healthy, for it to survive. Every hamlet in the east end of Long Island has a new wastewater system that is either built or in development. Without this system, the village will be left behind and considered to be in a state of environmental distress. There's no logical reason. There is no logical reason to oppose the project. It provides a cleaner and healthy living environment and ensures a future for our village. In talking to people, the majority of residents and community organizations support the project. If the claim is it'll be excessively noisy, the system is designed for quiet operation. If the claim is it'll produce a foul odor, it won't. It's enclosed mostly underground. It's designed to be odorless. I can understand if there's a not in my backyard concern or it'll affect my property value. And as Roy mentioned, this treatment plant is going to be hidden away in a part of the village that nobody is really going to notice. There's currently a small wastewater facility at the Southampton Hospital. It's been there for 50 years. Most people don't know it exists and they couldn't point to it on a map. It's quiet and odorless. The properties directly across the street from it are valued at over $25 million. From a practical perspective, it doesn't exist. There's no adverse impact on the neighboring properties, and the new village system will be no different. I can see there might be a concern about cost. It costs money to build this. There's currently incentives to offset these costs. There's town, county, state, and federal grant money available. There's low-cost debt. Given the state of the government incentives, the timing is perfect to offset a large portion of the cost. We cannot afford to not take advantage of these subsidies. The immense public benefit far outweighs the reduced cost to the village. Returning clean water to the ground is not optional, it's essential. It creates a healthy environment to live, work, and enjoy recreationally. All the governing bodies involved agree, all support the project. I strongly urge the Board of Trustees to move aggressively forward with confidence, knowing that the residents and community groups are behind them. They will reward you with their appreciation and their support. Mr. Mayor and trustees, a sincere thank you for capitalizing on this incredible opportunity and for allowing me to address the community tonight.
Hi, this is Janice Shearer, Town Planning and Development Administrator for Southampton Town, and it's great to see everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I just wanted to check in and say I'm really proud of the work the committee has done and the support of the village trustees and mayor to get us to this place. And just an earlier commenter was saying that, should really work with the town. And I just want to assure anybody who's listening that you have worked with the town. I've been working with you since the beginning. The town is very supportive of this effort and just wants to make sure that the village, is doing their due diligence with their constituents before we move ahead with CPF acquisitions and such. And just lastly, to say that, the water quality plan absolutely embraces water quality as a component of community preservation. So it's central to the town and village's economy, culture, natural resources, and human health. So they dedicate 20% of the CPF revenue to water quality purposes, and this is absolutely a valid purpose that is supported in the plan. So hopefully you can still hear me. I see a lot of flashing. I'm like Andy Warhol going on. I very interesting. But if you have any questions or anything, I'm here and happy to be very supportive and great, really excited. Thank you.
Hi, this is Frederick Van Zyl at 148 Cooper's Farm Road. I'm glad everybody's pleased with themselves about the plan and are congratulating one another in such, robust fashion. I just have a series of questions that I think before this is undertaken, because it's being presented kind of as a fait accompli, that the board is duty bound to sort of answer for the people that actually live a couple hundred yards from the new sewage plant that's being planned. First off, one of the reasons proffered is that there's problems with the existing septic system. Well, it'd be great to get an explanation as people considered whether or not to change the regulations to update those septic systems. Yeah, second question I would ask you guys to address is, and not now, not tonight, but at some point during this process, that is how much of this new capacity is to address existing problems versus how much of this is to address future growth in the business district. And there's mentions made earlier tonight about having second floor apartments and being commercially dynamic and making sure we can stay apace. Well, we moved to Southampton 20 something years ago because we didn't want to live in East Hampton and have a Tiffany's and have a bunch of discos and a bunch of other stuff. So the idea that that's necessarily appealing to all the people of the village is, I think, a matter of debate. And so I think it's important to sort of delineate how much of this project is going to be to address existing problems and how much of it is going to be to accommodate future business activity and all these second floor apartments and all these other little niceties that folks want in the business district. Because if a lot of it's really about allowing the business district to add more restaurants and add more people and add quote unquote density, like Jesse used to always talk about. Well, I think that's something that we should really, that's just about apportioning cost, right? I mean, that's just whose ox is getting gored. So we're going to, potentially suffer, degradation of our property values in order to subsidize the downtown business district, which maybe they should be taxed to pay for something out in, Southampton town. You guys posited that it's very expensive to do it in adjacent town land, which is not that far away. So I think the onus is on the board to talk about the differential in costs and whether or not, if it's really a lot of this is to accommodate the business, so let them pay for it, rather than putting a sewage treatment plant a couple hundred yards from our house. There's other parcels of land, right? Paulson's lot on Pond Lane, it was offered up as a park, right? For free to put a park in. Did anybody talk to Paulson about why not put the sewage treatment plant in the state district? That, it's right next to the lake. That seems like it might be another alternative. I don't know if you guys considered that. So I'd like to understand the difference between the town, what other alternatives there were out there, the Paulson lot, some of these other things. In terms of the chemicals, everybody's making assertions that it's odorless, it's noiseless, it's great, it's wonderful. Prove it, right? Do we know that? Like, can you demonstrate? Is anybody presented? I haven't seen it. I live in the neighborhood. Has anybody presented? Can we be afforded the opportunity to review the data about how these other plants that are similar have no smell? That's demonstrated. There's data about all that. And by the way, has anybody done a study on all these other sewage plants that have been posted up around Long Island or on the East End or wherever? What's their effect on property values? Has anybody done a study? It'd be interesting to know that. I mean, it seems like a reasonable ask to understand when you introduce a sewage plant in a residential neighborhood that's supposed to be part of a historical town district. potentially, that sort of analysis be done. That's about it. I don't want to be NIMBY on this, but it seems to me that there's a lot of opacity to how much of this is to fix. How much? Sorry. How many other people? How many members of the board live within a couple hundred yards of this sewage plant? And that's really the issue. It's in somebody's backyard. It happens to be mine and some other of our neighbors, and we'd ask you to consider all the alternatives.
Thank you, sir. I don't know whether.
Sally Van Allen.
Oh, sorry. Yes, please, Sally. I didn't see you there.
Thank you. My name's Sally Van Allen. I live at 49 North Main Street, which is 600 feet from this proposed sewage plant. I'm sort of thrilled to death. I'm not worried about the plant at all, but I would like some consideration, maybe thought about that to help the residents, like the one that just spoke. Is it possible for those of us that are so close, could we be hooked up to the sewage plant? Rather than, I've gone to Stony Brook, it's $65,000 to put this new system in at my house. I back up to a restaurant, which you are going to hook up, but I think that you might get some buy-in from any resident that is, I'm 6, that's just 2 football fields away from this as the crow flies. If we could hook into the sewer, I was shocked when I moved here to this town that we don't have a sewer treatment plant, and and I know it's expensive, but what if you had a 25-year plan to bring in all the residents? I love our business district. I want to support it, but there are also people that live here, and can we be part of the 21st century too? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to comment. I see Paul Travis's head nodding.
Yeah.
There is some additional capacity. There is potential for future expansion. And there's been some sites included in the assessment so far. For instance, Town Hall put in an IA system. So I forget their number, but it was something like 15,000 gallons of flow, a portion of that building that's now already being treated. But Paul, do you want to?
Yeah, so first of all, I should mention...
Paul, I was going to ask you also to address the question of how much of this is taking care of the problem that we currently have.
Yeah, that's what I was going to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So first of all, I should note that North Main Street is in the sewer district that's been proposed. Just to go through the numbers for a minute, there's about 120,000 gallons per day of flow currently. And that's really the first priority for this, is to deal with the current flow. And a lot of that flow now in a major storm ends up in the lake. So that is the number one priority for us. In addition to that, as is required by the law, we have to plan for the potential growth of the business district. That's just what the law says. So whatever could happen in the business district over a period of time is what the plan the plant has to accommodate, and that gets you up to about 200,000 gallons a day of flow. So that's what could happen in the business district. Those of us who have lived here a long time, those things don't happen here overnight. So this is probably your kids or grandkids who are going to see the final growth. But then, in addition to that, there is room on the site to allow for other growth, which would allow the sewer district to go beyond the current proposed boundaries.
Thank you very much, Paul. Sage, do you have anyone else there? Actually, I'm sorry. You would like to speak, Mr. Deasing?
Yes, thank you. Jay Deasing. I'm a resident of the village, approximately 200 to 300 yards away from the Southampton Hospital treatment plant, as is Susan Burke. Yes. So we're neighbors. It's a great neighbor. It generates no traffic, no noise, no people, no smells. It's fabulous. It's got some open space. I know it sounds scary, but we've been there 38 years, and for the first 10 to 12 years, I didn't even know what the building was. I thought it was some little office, and thank goodness I didn't walk in, but I thought it was some little office related to the hospital. And so I think it's something that perhaps with landscaping and additional setbacks, what have you, it can definitely be ameliorated for the neighbors. And clearly, it's something we need. So, as Trustee Stevenson said, it really is not going to be an issue, I think, that people will notice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Sage, I just want to ask if there was anyone else. All right, anyone else in the room? Jane Clare.
Hi, the mayor already introduced me, so I don't have to say my name. I am the closest neighbor, and I just want to say, take into consideration what this thing looks like. Don't make it white. Don't put a green roof on it. Don't leave lights on all night long. Maybe we do shingles to sort of fit in with the village, Cedar Shake. And where's the basketball court going to go? Because that's my main concern. It gives me joy every day during the season when I can hear kids playing. That's all I want to say. I'm in support of it, but consider us, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jane.
One quick comment just on the roof. There is a likelihood that we want to, there are some solar panels up there now. They've been operating for about a year and a half. Some of those will need to be relocated, and the hope is to be able to put at least some of those panels onto the roof of this new building, as some panels already exist on the ambulance roof, and unfortunately that can't be done over shingles. But we'll... Well, the solar shingles that you're talking about, for those who didn't hear, Jane mentioned a solar shingle. They're just not very efficient. They might look good, but anyway, we'll take it into consideration, but we have to get those systems to work together, whatever the roof will be. That design you saw tonight is very preliminary. It's very conceptual.
And just to let you know, I know you sit on the Architectural Review Board. The plans for the building will go to the Architectural Review Board for review. All right. Anyway, it will be reviewed, and certainly, that was not the final rendering of what we'll have.
And the basketball court?
We're looking at parks, actually, where we can relocate the basketball courts too, in the village. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay. Well, then I think I will make a motion to close this presentation to the board, and we'll move on to the next one. I know Trustee Coburn wanted to make a couple of comments about BESS and accessory apartments.
I just want to let people know some things that are in the works, and I want to invite people to either contact me or come to a work session later this month for this board, or to the Planning Commission meeting, which is on February 12th. And it's on two topics. BESS is the battery electric storage systems concept. We've had a couple presentations, a very good one from Christian Picot, chair of the Planning Commission, I think at our January or December meeting, I forget. The town has adopted a significant code. We're looking at how we can basically copy that, but frankly, it's microsurgery to get their code to conform into ours across the board. But we'd like to try to move forward with getting their residential guidelines in place as quickly as possible, since that's what most of the village would be affected by. So that's going to be a topic at our work session in February. If you want to know more, you can contact me or come to that work session. And the second item was with respect to accessory apartments. We've had some comments, including from some people here tonight when workforce housing was brought up, that we should be looking at ways of better using accessory apartment opportunities, as a lot of ADUs are called, as additional dwelling units in some jurisdictions. We have a code from 4 years ago that has not been used at all. And so the concept is to try to find ways to modify that to make it maybe get some more uptake and make it more user-friendly. That will be on the agenda for the Planning Commission on February 20th, and it will be a topic for our work session later this month. So thank you for it. Please contact me or come to the Planning Commission, especially on the accessory apartments, for those who are interested.
Thank you, Rob. Now we'll go to the suggested resolutions, and we have quite a few tonight. Those that maybe don't want to listen to all the resolutions, I'll let you escape now. Thank you, Ann, for being here. Thank you for your help with the county. But I'm going to turn it over to the first resolution, number 1, to Len Zananti.
Okay, resolve the claims for the warrant dated February 12, 2026, totaling $402,455.46. Warrant number A17 General, $76,712.50. Warrant number H10 Capital, $1,943.09. Warrant number T18 Trust, and I'm not sure what this is, are audited and approved. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you.
Number 2, resolve the reading of the minutes for the January 20th, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting is dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, hereby ratified, approved. I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering a local law amending Chapter 65-3, designation of landmarks and historic districts, and Chapter 65-2, Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, to transfer the authority to designate historic districts from the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation to the Village Board of Trustees. And whereas the Village of Southampton's Planning Director has conducted a review of the proposed action, and whereas the proposed changes to 65 Historic and Landmark Preservation were referred to the New York State Historic Preservation Office, who reviewed them and indicated that they do not constitute any concern for certified local government standards on January 20th, 2026, and whereas a public hearing was held by the village board on February 12th, 2026, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, now therefore be it resolved, local law number 1 of 2026 is hereby adopted. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll let the record reflect that I've recused myself from this, voting on this.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Whereas the safety of pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists residing in or visiting the village is of the utmost concern to the village, and whereas increased traffic on the East End has resulted in higher levels of traffic in the village as motorists seek to reduce their drive time, and whereas the failure of motorists to comply with posted speed limits as they drive through the village has become a significant problem in the village, and thus an increased risk to pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists, and whereas the village, like all small municipalities, lacks the resources to conduct live surveillance on every roadway, and whereas technology is available to conduct such surveillance using electronic speed monitoring systems, and whereas the New York State Legislature has proposed a law to amend the vehicle and traffic law in relation to owner liability for failure of an operator to comply with posted speed limits in the Village of Southampton, and whereas the Village of Southampton is willing to participate in the pilot program for the benefit of the village and its residents, now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board of the Village of Southampton supports the legislation pending in the New York State Legislature as A8501A and S7948B, which shall authorize the village to participate in a pilot program to install and operate electronic speed monitoring systems within the village, and be it further resolved, the Village of Southampton Board of Trustees recommends immediate passage of said bills to help address the safety concerns of pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. I will make the motion.
Second.
Discussion. I just wanted to say this was again, the fruits of my trip to Albany at the beginning of the month, when also Jerry Larson, the mayor of East Hampton Village, joined me to meet with our legislators in Albany, again, namely Assemblyman Tommy John Scavone and Senator Anthony Palumbo, to support and put this legislation forward to the Assembly and the New York State Senate. So it was definitely a worthwhile trip. And I was pleased that the Southampton Press captured that moment on the front page of the press today with an article about this, because I do think this is very important legislation to help us, again, monitor the number of vehicles and the speed at which they travel throughout the boundaries of the village. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Mayor, do you have an understanding of how the pilot program will operate, and will tickets in fact be issued, or is it purely just to see how the technology works?
No. Tickets will be issued. It's they want to do it as a pilot as opposed to being a permanent, to see what the effect will be. I believe it's for between 3 to 5 years that they will allow us to have cameras in the village.
And will it be administered by the Southampton Village Police Department?
Yes, I believe it has to go through that, and we also have to have a court, and so we have that. So actually, the Village of East Hampton does not have a court, and Jerry Larson is now having to create a court so that he is able to do this in East Hampton Village as well. Right. Okay, but I do know you have to have a court. Yeah. All right.
Bill, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. We've had, in some of our traffic discussions, a lot of thoughtful and concerned, smart residents say to us, why don't you just put up cameras and solve the problem? And it'd be nice if life were quite that simple. So it's not, unfortunately. They're absolutely right, but it takes some elbow grease and some persistence, and I just wanted to commend the mayor and others who have worked on this in Albany, because you have to get their attention and keep it, and they're now willing partners, and I just want to thank you for continuing to push this.
Thank you, Rob. So we have a motion and a second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves with respect to the 2026 Village General Election in accordance with the Village Code, Chapter 6.1. The election will be held on Friday, June 19, 2026. The polling place will be located at the Levitas Center, Southampton Cultural Center, located 25 Pond Lane, Southampton, New York. The polls will be open for the time frame as follows, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. The following offices will be filled. For Village Trustees, 2 positions, and the term of office for both positions is 2 years. Current incumbent, Leonard Zinanti. Current incumbent, Edward Simeone. I make the motion.
I'll second.
This discussion, I do know that there's been discussion this evening about perhaps that's not the greatest day, and Eileen, you've discussed whether or not it's even possible legally to change the date. But as I make this motion, and if that can be reviewed, maybe we want to hold voting on this until we decide whether it can be reviewed, or do we need to vote on this now
Yes, Kathy
because
here.
of some time period?
Let me ask Kathy, do you know if we do this at the next meeting?
What is the deadline for doing this, Kathy?
Village Clerk of the Village of Southampton. According to this, our deadline, the last day for the village clerk to publish a notice designating the office or offices to be filled and the terms thereof is Friday, February 19th, or February 20th it equates to.
But then we're not going to make it at the work session.
Well, it's for a publish of a notice designating the offices to be filled and the term thereof. So I could have an addendum.
Could we have a special meeting?
No, I like what Eileen is proposing, that we'll just do this. Yeah. What seat officers are vacant or available. Yeah.
Okay.
So for summation, what Trustee Stevenson just briefed, if he wants to reread it, and we'll just have it as just...
Yeah. Kathy, I'm going to ask Eileen, as the village attorney, to quickly on the spot here try and figure out what we should say about...
Can we say at a date to be determined?
I think we should leave the date in there.
Okay, and then amend it.
Something else and amend it, go back on that, in case we decide not to do anything.
I'm comfortable with that. Okay.
Okay. All right.
It's going to be voted on as read by trustees.
Okay, and then if we have to make any changes, we can do so. Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Whereas Stony Brook Medicine provides emergency and other routine and critical medical services to village residents in the entire South Fork and continues to expand those services, and whereas Stony Brook Medicine, the region's largest employer, faces a critical housing challenge in its efforts to recruit and retain the personnel needed to provide such services, and whereas in order to address this challenge, Stony Brook University is seeking to develop housing at the Southampton campus that would be accessible, meaning the Southampton University campus, to be clear, that would be accessible to workers at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital and other Stony Brook medicine facilities. And whereas Stony Brook University has asked local municipal leaders to express their support for this critical project that will benefit the region, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor is authorized to sign a letter of support to Stony Brook University in support of their efforts to create housing for the Stony Brook medicine workforce at the Stony Brook Southampton campus. I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
7, whereas the village board authorized the Veterans Hall painting project with a total capital appropriation of $300,000, and whereas the project was awarded to Austin Interiors and General Contractors in the amount of $213,804, which was below the approved capital budget. And whereas, based on the favorable bid results, the village board authorized the use of a portion of the remaining capital funds for other approved capital projects pursuant to resolution number 2025-602, thereby reducing the available balance originally anticipated for the Veterans Hall painting project. And whereas during construction, additional conditions were identified requiring work beyond the original scope, including major lumber repairs throughout the building and continued restoration of the front round columns to properly complete the project. And whereas Austin Interiors and General Contractors submitted a change order in the amount of $55,973 to address the additional required work. And whereas sufficient capital funding is available due to savings realized within the electrical service upgrade for Cooper's capital project, and the proposed change order can be accommodated without increasing the overall capital budget. Now therefore be it resolved, the village board hereby approves the change order submitted by Austin Interiors and General Contractors for the Veterans Hall painting project in the amount of $55,973, and be it further resolved, the village board authorizes a capital budget adjustment reallocating $21,414 from the electrical service upgrade for Cooper's capital project 2025-2026 to the Veterans Hall painting project 2025-2026. And be it further resolved, the village treasurer is authorized and directed to make all necessary accounting and budgetary adjustments to implement this resolution. I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, whereas upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of the Department of Public Works, it has been determined that additional funding is required within the village's highway supplies budget line due to greater than anticipated salt purchases. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves and authorizes the following budget modification. Increase account A5110.41 highway supplies by $30,000. Decrease account A5110.44 highway contractual services by $30,000. I'll make that motion.
Second discussion, this was something that is obviously necessary, given the amount of snow and freezing temperatures we've had. It also is very hard to get salt at this point. There seems to be a shortage on Long Island. We are very lucky that Steve Phillips and Corey Sweezy, head of our highway department, were able to get this. And so now that we have actually, in the process of receiving it, we have to authorize the expenditure to pay for it. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Whereas the Board of Trustees accepts the donation from Herbert Anthony Allen II in the amount of $5,000, which was generously given to the Southampton Village Police Department. And whereas the Village Board of Trustees wishes to formally acknowledge and express its sincere appreciation for this thoughtful contribution. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Village Board of Trustees hereby accepts the donation in the amount of $5,000 and hereby approves the 2025-2026 budget amendment to reflect this donation as follows. Increased budget line A.2703, gifts and donations, the amount of $5,000. Increased budget line A.3120.2, police equipment, in the amount of $5,000. I make a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, whereas the village has received a monetary donation to the police department in the amount of $50 from Lawrence and Vicky Tereski in memory of Mary Cordy, and whereas the Village Board of Trustees wishes to formally acknowledge and express its sincere appreciation for this thoughtful contribution, now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board of Trustees hereby accepts the donation in the amount of $50 from Lawrence and Vicky Tereski made in memory of Mary Cordy. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Whereas it is necessary to ensure the continued operation of the Village Justice Court during the period of absence of full-time Justice Court clerk, and whereas Lucy Gully has previously provided clerical support to the village and is qualified to assist the Village Justice Court on an as-needed basis, now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board hereby approves the appointment of Lucy Gully as a part-time Justice Court clerk to assist the Village Justice Court on an as-needed basis, and be it further resolved that Lucy Gully shall be compensated at an hourly rate of $23.50 for hours worked, subject to budgetary appropriations, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. This resolution was board approved on January 20, 2026, and is amended as follows. Resolved, Lucy Gully shall be compensated at an hourly rate of $25 for hours worked, subject to budgetary appropriations, and shall take effect immediately. I make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 12, resolve, the Board of Trustees approves Police Officer Sean Hubbard and Police Officer Connor Rayner to attend Group Crisis Intervention Training from February 16th to February 17th, 2026 in Rockland County, New York. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, meals, and travel expenses are estimated to total $1,275. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees here approves Senior Building Inspector Christopher Talbot and Building Inspector David Harper to attend the 24-hour New York State In-Service Training Conference from March 2nd to March 5th, 2026 in Lake Placid, New York. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, meals, and travel expenses are estimated to total $2,362. I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees approves the request received from our certified local government coordinator at New York State Historic Preservation Office with an invitation for Planning Director Alex Wallach to speak at the 2026 New York Statewide Preservation Conference from April 5th to April 17th,
No, 15th.
Sorry, April 15th to April 17th, 2026 in Cooperstown, New York. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, meals, and travel expenses are estimated to total $916. I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolve the Board of Trustees approves Captain Christopher Wetter to attend the Motorola Summit 2026 from April 19th to April 23rd, 2026 in Orlando, Florida. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, meals, and travel expenses are estimated to total $2,228.82. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion. So Motorola is the platform that the village uses for our emergency services. They are also going to be located at the top of the new cell tower once it is installed. And Captain Wetter wanted to make sure that what we are doing is obviously the greatest and latest equipment for the village's emergency services. And so that was the request to go down to this meeting in Florida. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Whereas employee number 484 has requested leave under the Family Medical Leave Act and has been found to qualify for such, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees grant employee 4848 FMLA leave effective February 14, 2026 through May 16, 2026.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the monarch butterfly is an iconic North American species whose multi-generational migration and metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly has captured the imagination of millions of Americans, and whereas 20 years ago, more than 1 billion eastern monarch butterflies migrated to Mexico, but in recent years, there has been a precipitous decline in the monarch butterfly population, and whereas counties, cities, towns, and villages all have a critical role to play to help save the monarch butterfly, and whereas the village of Southampton is on the monarch butterfly migratory path, and every resident can make a difference for the monarch population by planting native milkweed and nectar plants to provide habitats for the monarch and pollinators in locations where people live, work, learn, and play. Now therefore be it resolved, the mayor is authorized to sign the National Wildlife Federation Mayor's Monarch Pledge, confirming the village's commitment to support these initiatives. I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the Southampton Town United Soccer Club to use the Downs Family Park for their 2026 soccer programs beginning March 9th, 2026 through December 1st, 2026. I make that motion.
Second.
A quick discussion. I assume this is just in line with how they've used the park in the past, the same schedule.
They do this every year.
They actually have a really great program, very well attended.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves a request from the Southampton Village Police Benevolent Association to host its annual Easter egg hunt at Agawam Park on Friday, April 3rd, 2026 at 9 a.m. through 12 p.m. I make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolved, the Board of Trustees recognizes April 24th, 2026 as the last Friday in April, National Arbor Day. The Board of Trustees approves the board and the tree committee to celebrate this day. I'll make that motion.
Second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Sergeant Stephen Zahowski and Officer Charles Noble to attend a Pepperball Instructor Certification course from April 30, 2026 through May 1st, 2026 in Dover, New Jersey. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, meals, and travel expenses are estimated to total $1,850.91. I make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Number 22, whereas the Village of Southampton has received a request to participate with the Cornell University Cooperative Extension of Suffolk County and in partnership with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to conduct nighttime beach horseshoe crab surveys on the Bayside Beach located on Meadow Lane. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board approves the surveys to be conducted on approximately 15 nights between May and July for 2 hours each night. The schedule has been provided and the Southampton Village Police Department has been notified. I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the 7th Annual Juneteenth Ceremony to be held at Agawam Park on Saturday, June 2026, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I make the motion.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, Scott, you have a walk-on that we received late today. I think it's, again, another person who is going to, well, let's handle that first. Sorry. So, again, this came to us late today for another officer to do some training. In fact, John Skanga, who is listed here, was the police officer that was here with us for a portion of tonight's meeting. But I will make a motion to have a walk-on resolution at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the walk-on resolution is as follows. Resolve the Board of Trustees approves Police Officer John Skanga to attend Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Awareness Training from March 4th to March 6th, 2026 in Valhalla, New York. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, meals, and travel expenses are estimated to total $759. So I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With that, we're getting to the end of the meeting. This is exciting. We'll have comments from board members, and we'll ask for Trustee Coburn to go first.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the 4th of July Parade Committee's fundraiser this past Tuesday over in Hampton Bays. I want to thank Thea Fry and the people and owners at Darrow's Restaurant in Hampton Bays who hosted it. It was very well attended. They had 2 seatings. I think there were about 150 to 180 people who came, a lot of village residents and a lot of town residents who think of this as their parade too. And I just wanted to throw in a reminder and a plug for the fact that with an enhanced parade this year due to the nation's 250th anniversary, wanted to remind residents that we're looking for their ideas and participation and support. So keep your eyes open. We'll let you know about other events coming up. I'm going to steal some people's thunder probably, but I want to give a personal thanks to the Highway Department and all of our first responders for the work they did both during the storm and during the cold spell, the dangerous cold that we faced recently. Most of us have a choice to stay inside on days like that, and they don't. And they were out there doing incredible work keeping our streets open and safe under very trying conditions at times. Additionally and coincidentally, during the last storm, we had a non-storm related outage of some electrical systems and servers at the police department. So there was a particular stress put on the police department to rely on their town shared services and migrate a temporary station over to the Hampton Road Firehouse, which was a difficult thing to do on a normal day and a more difficult thing to do in those circumstances. So I just wanted to give recognition for that work. Related to weather, I'd just say, I think we've been fortunate in the village this winter, as far as I know, not to have had a serious fire, but I'm a regular watcher of News 12, and for those who are, I can tell you there have been several dozen fires in the last 2 months on Long Island, and many of them fatal, with fatalities involved. And I mention it only to say, even as the snow's melting, if you have a fire hydrant in front of your house or nearby on your street, and you have extra time to dig it out, there was a situation in mid-Long Island recently where the extra 3 or 4 minutes it took the firemen to dig out that fire hydrant may have contributed to a loss of life. So just wanted to put that out there. And last but not least, I'm going to give a shout out to Sage and his team for setting up in this space, which is different to their usual space, and notwithstanding some echo effects and a little psychedelic visuals at times, it was a great job, so thank you. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Coburn. We'll go to Trustee Simeoni.
I'm the liaison for the Senior Services Committee, and we have put together a survey which is very important for the committee to be able to receive the feedback so that we can see what the needs of the seniors in the village of Southampton are. The survey will be distributed digitally with a QR code and where you can click on and access the survey, and it will be distributed by the village and by various means, by the library, and I may also be sending out an email to the residents that I am in contact with. So I hope we get the results back by the end of this month, and we can go forward with programs that we would like to institute.
Thank you, Trustee Simeoni. We'll go to Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you. It is cold and snowy, but in 4 short months, the world's attention will be focused on Southampton because the U.S. Open Golf Tournament is going to be played out at Shinnecock. And as we have alluded to a little bit tonight, that will cause increased congestion here in the area and in our village. We are well aware of this, and I've been meeting along with the mayor and with our chief of police, Hertow, Captain Wetter, and trying to come up with ways that this situation might be managed better. I've also been in contact with our major employers, the hospital, the schools, the library, to ask their residents, not their residents, excuse me, ask their employees if some sort of a shuttle service were offered to help them come into the village and leave the village during the week of the Open. Would that be of interest? And if there is sufficient interest, perhaps we can encourage the people who are putting on this tournament to fund providing that shuttle service to make it easier on our on our village employees to come into work and leave during that event. So it is 4 months off, but that will come very quickly, and we are aware of that and are working on it. And to echo Trustee Coburn, in all the years I've lived in the village, I've never seen a spell of weather as consistently cold and windy and as much snow as we have had over the last several weeks. And I just do want to give a total shout out to our DPW, to our supervisor, Steve Phillips. I also want to just mention that he and the village employed a consultant, a guy named Harry Weed, a while back when we had less than stellar results with our snow removal, to institute new procedures and new ways of handling our storms. And certainly that work is done well, and the organization is now super well organized, so that when Steve, I think, was actually on vacation for our most recent batch of snow, that his assistants, Mark Maddock and others, pitched in and didn't miss a beat in terms of getting the guys out and making sure that we are safe and can get around. And even the mayor, I understand, was out there one night on a plow as well. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for doing that. Anyway, that's all I got. I'll be brief tonight. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. Very importantly, the Water Quality Improvement Project Plan update will be presented by the town at Town Hall on February 24th at 6 p.m. The new proposal is to expand the priority areas and will now include the entire village as a priority. This is important because of the grant funded septic replacement program that we sponsored here at the Cultural Center on November 22nd. So under this new project plan update, everyone in the village will be eligible for the full grant amount. This is a big step, and we should motivate homeowners to apply for these grant applications, or to submit the grant applications through the Stony Brook Center for Clean Water Technology. Also, the traffic experiment on County Road 39 continues with continued tweaking. The town asked the county, and the county agreed to sequence the lights slightly differently to keep the traffic moving more efficiently. So this has been going on now for about 3 months, and it's still being worked on, and hopefully it will be a permanent solution. And lastly, I too want to congratulate Steve Phillips and Mark Maddow for the shoveling and plowing work and all the hard workers that they supervise. I had the pleasure of sending through the 2 snowstorms more pizza than I've ever ordered in my life to the guys at the DPW, but I'm happy to do it. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. So I will pile on, no pun intended, about the snow and the cold that the village has sustained the last couple of weeks here. And just to mention that Steve Phillips, our superintendent of public works, actually is away right now, and so Mark Maddock had to take over overseeing the whole of DPW, and he's done an amazing job. In fact, Mark said he recently, 2 days ago I think, got a call at 3:45 in the morning from the police department informing him of black ice almost throughout the village, where it had melted and then frozen, and again, black ice can be very dangerous. So the police called him at his home, woke him up, and said, "We've got black ice." I want to say that Mark did an amazing job. He got all of the guys up out of bed and in the village within the hour to salt the streets to ensure that they were not going to be causing serious problems when people arrived in the village that morning. So again, we owe them a great debt of gratitude for the hard work that they have been putting in for 2 weeks straight, and many sleepless nights and many days going without, home-cooked meals. I guess they liked less pizza, but anyway, it's been a trying couple of weeks, and so if you see any of the guys out there, I would please thank them. Other than that, I just wanted to say that also when I was up in Albany, I got to talk to the governor briefly at the executive mansion when she invited the mayors of the state of New York over for a little cocktail party. And I personally went up and thanked her for the grant of $675,000 for the restoration of the World War I monument. I said that was a huge game changer for us, because now we are going to be able to start that work on that monument that's over 100 years old in Agawam Park. So she was very appreciative of that, and she said she was going to come out to visit us next summer. And hopefully I can show her the site under construction or reconstruction. Then I also did attend the July 4th parade fundraiser in Hampton Bays. I think I must have been there with the early crowd at Darrow's, and it was again great to see so many people turning out to support our 4th of July parade, as it really is an iconic fixture here on the whole East End of Long Island. And then recently I went to the Wednesday, I went to the East End Supervisors and Mayors luncheon meeting that Maria Moore hosted at Union Burger here in Southampton Village. And I took her along, our Chief Hurto of the Southampton Village Police Department, because we did also have an address from 3 people involved with the USGA discussing the U.S. Open and what that will mean for the village and the town and what they're planning to do. And we look to continue to work with them to mitigate the effects of having 32,000 people come, that's the number, 32,000 people come to Shinnecock Hills Golf Course the third week of June. So coming up, I just want to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day on the 14th of February. That's 2 days from now. Don't forget, President's Day is the 16th of February. That's Monday. Village Hall will be closed in observance of President's Day. But then on the 17th of February, the village will host Grievance Day for those that want to grieve their taxes. It will commence at noon until 4 p.m. In the village boardroom. But again, the trustees will not be the grievance board this year. It will be a 5-member board selected from individuals that live in the village, including a real estate agent from Sotheby's, as well as someone from the Planning Commission. But that will again commence at noon on the 17th, which is Tuesday. This is the third Tuesday of the month, noon to 4 p.m. in Village Hall. And with that, I thank everyone who showed up here tonight. We had a great turnout. A lot of discussions were held, and glad to see that we're finally getting the sewer moving in the right direction for the village. And with that, I will make a motion to close this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, and good night.